Good. A lot of people reporting that they are sick last week, this week. I hope everybody gets well soon. Dylan, tell people a little bit about yourself and the campaign trail.
Yeah, so we've been at this now. It's crazy to think it's been over a year. I started this journey back in December of 24, and we launched publicly in February of 25, and been pounding the pavement ever since. Put over 50,000 miles on a vehicle. I quit counting at 50,000. This district's so big, and we make it a point to be somewhere every day, meet some new voters, and keep the ball rolling.
Okay. You had a chance to touch base with your party in Washington, D.C. recently.
Yeah.
That's a unique experience. Tell people about it.
It was. So I was out in D.C. here a couple weeks ago. Flew out to meet with some different groups out there. Met with Darren LaHood and Mary Miller, of course, and it was quite the experience. Spent a couple days at Capitol Hill Club and had some meetings at the White House one morning, and it was quite the experience, and we're ready to strategize and flip the seat in November.
Well, I tell you what, getting to go to the White House and you're not on an 8th grade Washington, D.C. trip is pretty cool, Dylan.
It was a good time.
What did Mary Miller and Darren LaHood have to say?
This is a winnable seat. Sorensen has gotten extremely comfortable. We have 160-some thousand independent voters in this district, and they think that we can persuade them over to our side.
Okay, what is your side? What's your platform and goals?
Yeah, so the biggest thing I've been focused on is affordability. We've got to get some things under control here with that. Also, healthcare premiums have gone through the roof. We've got to get those reeled back in, and then of course education. I think we need to focus more on career-focused education, and let's bring back an ROI to our universities for these kids.
Okay, let's talk about that affordability. Describe what you see from constituents in the 17th.
So the biggest thing now, electricity bills here in Illinois have just gone through the roof. Just, one of my locations, our bar, restaurant, coffee shop there in Stronghurst, our electricity bill went from $1,400 a month to $2,900 a month for 3 months. Now, that's just one of my 8 locations. Our electricity bill is almost doubled everywhere. And that's a huge factor when these, I employ over 60 young adults that they're ready to move out of mom and dad's house and rent their own place, and several have. But when you throw in an $800 a month mortgage type electricity payment, it doesn't help them, when the car insurance is high, health insurance is high. We've got to get this stuff reeled in, and electricity cost. If we can get our electricity under control, gas prices have already come down. We'll start to see some things on the shelf start to lower as well.
Okay, how do we get healthcare premiums down and prescription drug costs? How do we get those in line?
Well, that's one of the most loaded questions there is at this point. Our premiums for my family and I, my wife and I had to go to Obamacare, the marketplace for health insurance last year, and it went from $2,200 a month to $3,000 a month for our family premium. And that was for the worst plan that you could buy in the state of Illinois. It is not affordable. There has to be transparency. Like I said this weekend at a forum up in Rockford, when you go out and buy a car, you know the price of that car before you get there. When you're shopping around for your health insurance, or if you're going for a doctor's visit, God forbid you have to have an x-ray done, you should be able to look up and know the price before you have to get there. That will get rid of a lot of this surprise charging and billing through the hospitals. And also, I was just watching a podcast the other day that showed CVS owns Aetna, who owns the PBM, who owns the pharmaceutical manufacturer, who also owns a group of physicians in hospitals. Along with that, they also own their own bank. So we have to separate this out. This whole vertical integration of our health system in general is what has caused premiums and care to skyrocket. We have to bust those apart.
Wow, that's interesting to know. I did not know that about CVS. How'd you find that out? That's such an interesting, what's the word, business model.
And a lot of them are that way now.
Almost
a lot
like
of
a
them.
legal shell game.
It's what they've gotten away with is it's not in benefit of the people. We've got to get those separated and really bring healthcare, make healthcare affordable. Right now what we're doing, people can't afford $1,500 a month or $1,000 a month for health care, especially when the deductibles are $5,000 or $10,000. My wife and I, we just switched to a Christian health share plan.
Mm-hmm.
It cost us around $900 a month, and anything over $1,250 they cover. So that was the route we took, so we could get something affordable. But at the end of the day, and honestly, with my primary care physician, with my regular insurance that I had in years prior, it was $250 to go see him with health insurance. Now that I pay cash up to that $1,250 mark, I only pay $120 to go see him. So it's cheaper, and it should be the same price regardless. You go in with a broken arm to the hospital, you have health insurance, your bills are $6,000. I go in and pay cash, mine are $600. It should be the same regardless.
Okay. How do you think you'll be able to talk to folks about that if you are elected? What's been our holdup, I guess is a better way to say that, because we've been talking healthcare for 20 years or more.
I know it.
What's that magic way to get everybody in D.C. to sit down and go, let's hammer this out. Let's help people.
Yeah, I think people are getting at their wits' end with prices now. So I think things are going to start reeling in, but there's just so much money involved. And I'm sure that there are some benefits of the way it is for some of our politicians now. That's got to come to an end.
Okay. Let's talk about what else is on your platform and goals. You said affordability, healthcare, and education, career-focused, and then ROI for colleges and universities. Tell us a little bit about that part of your platform.
Yeah, for one, ROI back to our students here. I've had several students or several young adults that have worked for me throughout the years that have gone for a 4-year degree for marketing. When they get out of their 4-year degree, they don't know how to market. They don't know Google Analytics or YouTube or graphic design. Those are the 3 biggest things that I want as an employer and somebody that markets a business. It's got to be career focused, so no more fluff. When I went to WIU for law enforcement, I had to take a theater class and a bunch of other nonsense. Let's get straight to the point. Let's get these kids out get them educated, get them out, so it's a little more affordable. We've got to get the trades boosted up. I mean, there are $80,000 to $100,000 a year jobs just sitting there waiting for people to take them. Anything in HVAC, electrical, plumbing, anything where you're working with your hands, automotive industry. We've got to start promoting that more. I've spent some time over at GAVC there in Galesburg. That is a phenomenal program, and we should really help support programs like that.
Okay. We're talking with Dillan Vancil. He is one of the Republican candidates on the ballot for the 17th Congressional District. Coming up in March, St. Patty's Day. It's going to be here before we know it. And you said there's 160,000 independent voters in the 17th. How many voters do we have registered? Do you have an idea yet?
Yeah, we have all those numbers, but at the end of the day, it's sad, and it's not just in Illinois, but it's nationwide. The amount of people that go out and vote or are involved in a primary, it's 40, 50, 60%. We've got to get. This is where for the primary, we're picking our team captain to go into November. And it's not just with the 17th. We have, 4 or 5 guys that are running for governor. We've got U.S. Senate has a ton of people running for it. We have to. This is where we pick our team captains. We need everybody to participate. Early voting starts February 5th through March 17th. So go out and vote. Okay.
And let's talk a little bit about agriculture. This is the heartland of the 17th Congressional District. Every road you travel has a field right next to it. I know you've talked to farmers locally. What are you hearing from them?
Yeah, we've been fortunate. Several individuals have hosted ag roundtables for us all throughout the district. And the biggest thing is, the guys bring up tariffs. But the thing is, I assumed that these guys would be against the tariffs wholeheartedly. But I said, you know what, I'm willing to try it, see if it helps us out, but if it doesn't, we got to start reeling those in. And I think we're getting to that point where if these tariffs don't really start impacting us in a positive way, we're going to have to start reeling those back. But the fact that they were willing to give it a try, it's been great. The biggest thing, inputs, what everything costs to get through the whole planning to harvest season. Somebody was telling me, or we went through, it used to be OCI fertilizer there in Burlington. Koch brothers had bought them out. It's now Koch Industries, whichever. There's only 2 or 3 manufacturers in the country that have these items that our farmers need, and that has just completely destroyed competition in those markets. So we've got to start looking at that as well. None of these, it was a big deal in Iowa when they bought out OCI, and the state didn't step in, and the government didn't step in and say, hey guys, we gotta knock this off because there's no competitive advantage for anybody anymore.
That is one of our challenges, and it's been going across so many different administrations. The best intentions with the what's it called? The USMC, the U.S. Mexico Canada Agreement, NAFTA originally was its name, and that was back when Bill Clinton was in office. Boy, they meant well, but doggone if it didn't just annihilate areas like here in Galesburg with all of our manufacturing moving at the time, following that 10, 15 years offshore or into Mexico. And boy, we're seeing the impacts of the challenges. It didn't make it better. I think they meant for it to make some things better, but it didn't make it better. We meant for things like, when I say we, United States of America, we meant for things like our ag trade to be good for Canada, Mexico, not for jobs, thousands of jobs to walk across a border.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree.
And that's where we have this manufacturing loss. Wish we could bring back jobs like that, right?
I'd love to see manufacturing brought back into the 17th. Rockford in the 17th used to be a major manufacturing hub here in Illinois, and it has just been decimated. And, I've met with guys like Ken Springer over in Knox County that, they've said, one, we don't have the housing to support people to bring in manufacturing, to have the workers here, but we can't even build a housing development because we can't get power to it, let alone the power that it's going to need to have a major manufacturer come back in. So at the end of the day, if we don't have the power to supply these people, we're not going to get anything. And Trump has announced, and I get it, the numbers changed every week it seems like, but trillions of dollars in investments coming back to America. At the end of the day, do you think any of it's coming to Illinois? I wouldn't hold my breath.
Okay. You've been on the campaign trail. You've had some endorsements along the way.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit about the endorsements.
We're going to release those on our Facebook page, so stay tuned. Dillan Vancil for Congress, and we'll start putting those out. We've got a lot of state officials that have endorsed, a couple previous congressmen as well. So, like I said, we'll put those out here in the next coming weeks.
Okay. Anything else you're wanting people to know about Dillan Vancil for Congress?
At the end of the day, with my background in business and being on the school board and several other boards, at the end of the day, it's just we are due for a brighter path forward. I want to do this for my 7 and 9-year-old boys because they deserve a brighter path forward. The 60-some employees or young adults that I employ, they just want to be able to live, to afford to live, and right now we can't do that. We've got to get some of this affordability under control. I think things are heading in the right direction, but we've got to get real representation on the 17th to help push that along the finish line.
Okay, well, we appreciate you coming in today.
Yes, thanks for having me.
Yeah, good luck. That is Dillan Vancil with us, Republican candidate for the 17th Congressional District.